Your absence will teach them what your presence never could. Does pulling away really make them want you more? That's the question, isn't it? One moment they're ignoring your texts, acting distant, making you feel like an afterthought. Then the second you stop trying, they come running. Why does that happen? Is it a trick, a game, or is there a deeper truth behind it, one that most people don't understand? Stick with me, my friends, because today we're uncovering a secret that will change how you see relationships forever. But before we dive in, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay till the end, because this lesson is one you don't want to miss. Now picture this. You're at a party, holding a glass of water. It's just water. Nobody cares. But the moment you pretend it's some rare, expensive drink, people start asking about it. They want a sip. They suddenly act like it's valuable. That's human nature. We chase what feels scarce. We desire what we think we're losing, and when you pull away, you become that rare, expensive drink. Suddenly, you're not the free water anymore, but here's where most people get it wrong. They think pulling away is some manipulative trick to get someone to chase them. It's not. It's about something far more powerful: self-respect. The moment you stop overgiving, over-explaining, and undervaluing your worth, you reclaim your power. Because the truth is, people don't appreciate what they think they'll always have. Ever notice how you don't really think about the air you breathe until you're underwater? That's exactly how attention works. They don't see your value while you're there, but take it away, and suddenly they feel the void. This is why one of the most powerful lessons of all is detachment. When you stop attaching your happiness to someone else's attention, you become untouchable. You stop reacting. You stop chasing. Ironically, that's what makes people chase you. But let's be clear, this isn't about playing games. It's about realizing your worth. It's about understanding that your presence is a gift, not a given. It's about walking away not to make them miss you, but because you refuse to stay where you're not valued. So what happens when you finally pull away? They notice. They panic. They wonder why you're no longer trying, because now they don't have control. Now they're the ones feeling the loss. But here's the best part. You won't even care. Because once you understand your worth, once you step into this kind of power, you stop waiting for anyone to realize it. Now, I want you to do something for me. Comment below, "I know my worth." Say it, write it, own it. Let this be the moment you stop chasing and start attracting. And before you go, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell icon, because this journey is just getting started. Stay with me, my friends. Let's step into our power together. Number 1, the power of holding back. Less said, more controlled. A river that overflows its banks destroys everything in its path, but a river that flows within its course shapes mountains. Have you ever noticed how the more you try to explain yourself, the less people seem to listen? The more you chase, the faster they run. The more you pour out your feelings, the less they appreciate them. It feels like a cruel trick, doesn't it? Like the moment you give someone access to your heart, they stop valuing it. That's not bad luck, that's psychology. People respect what they have to work for. They cherish what isn't easily given. The moment you make yourself an open book, pouring out your emotions without restraint, you take away the intrigue, the mystery, the pull that makes them want to know more. This is where self-control comes in, because self-control isn't just about staying calm. It's about staying in control of how you're perceived. When you hold back, you don't just protect yourself, you shift the power dynamic. Now let me make this clear. This isn't about playing games. It's not about manipulation. It's about understanding that your emotions are a currency, and if you give them away too freely, they lose their value. Imagine you walk into a jewelry store and there are 2 displays. One has diamonds under glass, carefully lit, treated like treasures. The other has loose diamonds scattered across a table, unprotected. handled by everyone who walks in. Which one do you think is worth more? Same stones, different presentation. And that's exactly how emotions work. The more freely you hand them out, the less people respect them. But when you reveal yourself slowly with intention, on your terms, you create attraction, respect, and desire. But here's why this is so hard. Because we're wired to do the opposite. We think that if we just explain ourselves enough, if we just show them how much we care, if we just keep giving and giving, eventually they'll appreciate us. But that's not how attraction works. People don't value effort they don't have to earn. Think about it. Why do people chase dreams? Why do they work for years to achieve a goal? Because effort creates attachment. When something requires work, when something isn't immediately available, our brain assigns it more value. Now apply that to relationships. When you reveal all your emotions too quickly, there's no chase, no discovery, no effort. And when there's no effort, there's no appreciation. It's why people take for granted the ones who love them the most, because that love was given freely, without condition. But what happens when you hold back? When you become the one who is slightly out of reach? They lean in, they think about you more. They start wondering what's on their mind and what they're feeling, and suddenly your presence is missed. This isn't about pretending not to care. It's about realizing you don't have to prove your worth to be valued. And if you're thinking, but if I don't express myself, won't they lose interest? Consider this. People don't lose interest in mystery. They don't lose interest in someone who is steady, confident, and doesn't need to be constantly validated. They lose interest in what's predictable, what's always available, what they don't have to work for. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you constantly overshare, you give away that power. You let your emotions dictate how others perceive you. But when you learn to hold back, when you learn to reveal yourself in layers, you become unforgettable. Now some of you might be wondering, so do I just never express my emotions? No, that's not the point. The key isn't to be cold, it's to be intentional. Think of a well-played game of chess. Every move matters. Some pieces you move forward immediately, others you hold back. You don't reveal your entire strategy at once. You let them wander. You make them work to figure it out. That's how emotional restraint works. You don't hide your emotions. You control when and how you reveal them. You don't suppress your feelings. You express them with purpose, not desperation. You don't chase validation. You carry yourself with quiet confidence, knowing that your presence is valuable. And this changes everything. Because the moment you stop giving too much too soon, the moment you start holding back and letting others work to understand you, you become a challenge, not a convenience. And challenges, people don't forget them. So here's what I want you to do right now. Comment below, "I am in control." Let this be the moment you reclaim your power. Let this be the moment you stop over-explaining, stop over-giving, stop chasing. Your emotions are valuable. Don't give them away for free. Number 2, let silence be your power. Stop chasing, start attracting. The moment you stop running after them, they start looking for you. Desperation is a poison disguised as passion. It makes you think that chasing, pleading, and proving yourself will somehow bring them back. But tell me, when has begging ever commanded respect? When has clinging ever made someone love you more? It's a lie we've been told. The harder you try, the more you show you care, the more valuable you become. Wrong. The truth is, the more you chase, the less they want you. The more you explain, the less they listen. The more you make them the center of your world, the less space you take up in theirs. So my friends, it's time for a shift. Time to reclaim your power. But before we do, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me until the end, because this lesson is the difference between being forgotten and being unforgettable. Imagine this. You're at a party and there's a dog in the room. You reach out, calling it over, but it runs the other way. You try harder, clapping, whistling, chasing after it. But the more eager you are, the less interested it seems. Then across the room, someone ignores the dog completely, just sitting there, minding their own business. And what happens? The dog slowly approaches, curious, drawn in by their indifference. That's human nature in action. People crave what feels just out of reach. But when you chase, when you beg, when you make it clear that you'll do anything to keep them, you don't pull them closer, you push them away. And that's where a timeless truth reveals itself. Desperation is not love, it's surrender. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Yet, when we act out of desperation, we give up that power. We say, "Here, take it. Take my confidence, take my self-worth, take my dignity, just don't leave me." And that's not love, that's fear. The fear of being alone, the fear of not being enough, the fear of losing something that deep down we know isn't even treating us right. Imagine a fire. If you stand too close, desperate to keep warm, you suffocate it. You throw on too much fuel, and instead of burning brighter, the flame dies. That's what happens when you flood someone with neediness. Instead of reigniting their interest, you extinguish it. But here's the truth that will set you free. Walking away isn't losing, it's winning yourself back. It's not about playing games, it's about realizing you are the prize. And if someone doesn't see that, why would you waste another second proving it to them? At this point, you might be wondering, but if I don't chase them, won't they just move on? Here's the simple answer. If they valued you, you wouldn't need to chase. And if they don't value you, why waste your time? Epictetus put it perfectly. Curb your desire. Don't set your heart on so many things, and you will get what you need. Think of a pendulum. If you keep pushing it forward, trying to control its movement, it resists. But if you pull away, it swings back naturally. That's the power of letting go. When you stop forcing, stop chasing, stop proving, you create a void, and that void makes them feel your absence. It makes them realize the attention they once took for granted is no longer guaranteed. It forces them to question their own actions. They start to wonder, why aren't they trying anymore? Why aren't they chasing? Did I lose them? And just like that, you shift the power dynamic. But let's be clear, this isn't about tricking someone into missing you. It's about realizing that your time, your energy, and your presence are privileges, not guarantees. It's about understanding that the right people won't need to be chased. They won't require you to beg for basic respect, because they'll already value what you bring to the table. And if someone doesn't, let them feel the void, because desperation doesn't make someone stay. Self-respect does. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free," and bravery in this case is walking away from people who expect you to audition for their love. It's refusing to beg for the bare minimum. It's knowing that even if they walk away forever, you will still stand tall. Because the moment you stop chasing, you stop being an option and start becoming a decision. The next time someone pulls away, don't panic. Don't over-explain. Don't scramble to fix what isn't yours to fix. Let them feel the void. Let them wonder why the power they once held over you has disappeared. Let them see that the love you gave so freely was a privilege, not something they were entitled to. And if they come back, it won't be because you begged. It'll be because they realized what they lost. And if they don't, good. Now you have space for someone who truly sees your worth. Number 3, the magnetic power of absence. Make them feel your worth. A diamond isn't valuable because it's common. It's valuable because it's rare. Have you ever noticed how people seem to want what they can't have? The vacation that felt too short, the rare collector's item, the love that wasn't easy to win. Scarcity creates value. The things that are always available, they're taken for granted. So why do we treat relationships any differently? Most people believe that always being there will make them more loved, more appreciated. They answer texts in seconds, rearrange their plans, make themselves endlessly available, thinking it will strengthen the bond. But in reality, it does the opposite. Because when something is always there, it stops being special. Before we dive in, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay until the end, because what I'm about to share will shift the way you see relationships forever. Imagine a restaurant that's open 24/7, always empty, desperate for customers. Now picture an exclusive restaurant with limited reservations, long wait lists, and high demand. Which one do people chase? The one that isn't always accessible. That's human nature. We chase what we think we might lose. And this is why the power of distance is so important, not as a game, but as a declaration of self-respect. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." In other words, stop worrying about how to make someone appreciate you. Just live a life so full, so valuable, that your presence itself becomes a prize. Your time, your attention, your energy, they are luxuries, not guarantees. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think that pulling away means ignoring people, playing hard to get, or acting distant. That's not it. This isn't about manipulation, it's about creating balance. It's about showing that you have a life, passions and priorities that exist outside of anyone else. When your world doesn't revolve around them, they start wanting to be part of it more. Now you might ask, won't they lose interest if I don't always respond right away? Won't they think I don't care? Think about this. Does a fire burn brighter when you smother it? No, it needs space, air, room to breathe. That's how attraction works too. If you constantly flood someone with attention, you suffocate their curiosity, their need to wonder about you, to miss you. But when you step back, you create space for them to feel your absence. They start wondering, why aren't they texting first anymore? What changed? Are they losing interest? And that's when the shift happens, because now they're the ones thinking about you. They're the ones initiating, the ones realizing that your presence was never something they should have taken for granted. But let's be real, this isn't easy. We've been conditioned to believe that if we're not always available, people will forget about us. That if we don't respond instantly, they'll move on. That if we don't say yes to every invitation, they'll replace us. But the truth is, people don't forget what they can't fully have. And if they do, then they never valued you in the first place. This is why we should focus on what we control. And what do we control? Our energy, our presence, our time. If someone only values you when you overextend yourself, when you're bending over backward to keep them interested, they don't truly value you. They value your availability, not your essence. The solution? Become the person who is worth waiting for. Imagine someone texts you, but instead of dropping everything, you finish what you were doing first. Not out of pettiness, but because you genuinely have things to do. Imagine someone asks to see you, and instead of canceling your plans to accommodate them, you tell them when you're actually free. These small actions send a loud message. I am not desperate. I have a life, and if you want access to me, you respect my time. And trust me, that is powerful, because when someone has to work for your presence, they appreciate it more. It's like an expensive bottle of wine. If it's served in a plastic cup at a cheap diner, people don't care about it. But if it's presented in a luxury restaurant with ceremony, exclusivity, and intention, it becomes valuable. Your presence should be the same way. At this point, you might be thinking, but won't they think I'm playing games? No, because you're not pretending to be busy. You are busy. You're busy living your life, building your goals, focusing on your peace. And when you do that, something incredible happens. You stop needing to be chased and you start attracting. Naturally, when you're no longer the person waiting by the phone, constantly available, always accommodating, people start stepping up because they can feel the shift. They sense that you are no longer someone they can just expect to be there. You are someone they have to work to keep. And that's when you become unforgettable. So here's what I want you to do right now. Comment below, "I respect my time." Write it, say it, own it. Let this be the moment you stop overgiving and start being valued for who you are, not for how much you offer. Number 4, walk away like you mean it. Let your life do the talking. A lion never announces its strength. It just moves, and the world takes notice. Have you ever found yourself waiting for someone to call, to care, to notice what they've lost? You sit there hoping that if you just stay still long enough, they'll wake up and realize your worth. But let me ask you something. When has waiting ever made someone respect you? The truth is, standing still doesn't make them appreciate you. It makes you invisible. But before we go deeper, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me until the end, because today we're breaking free from the waiting game. Imagine a bird whose flock has flown ahead. Does it stay on the wire, staring into the distance, waiting for them to return? No, it spreads its wings and flies. It moves toward new horizons, new experiences, new opportunities. That bird understands something most people don't. Life moves forward with or without the people who choose to leave. But here's where most of us go wrong. When someone pulls away, we freeze. We stop living. We put our happiness, our progress, even our self-worth on hold, hoping that our absence will somehow force them to return. But in doing that, we tell them a silent, devastating truth. I have no direction without you. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And what are your thoughts when you sit around waiting for someone else to define your worth? They aren't strong, they aren't empowering, they are chains. Let's break it down with a metaphor. Imagine a river. If a river stopped flowing, hoping that someone would admire its beauty, what would happen? It would become stagnant, lifeless, and forgotten. But when a river keeps moving, when it carves new paths, when it nourishes everything in its wake, it becomes something people are drawn to. That's how your life should be, constantly flowing, evolving, becoming something greater, not waiting for someone who doesn't see your value. Now some of you might be wondering, but won't they think I'm just trying to make them jealous? Let's get this straight. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about making them regret leaving. This is about you. It's about showing that your life has meaning beyond their presence, that your happiness isn't dependent on whether they stay or go. Because let's be honest, if someone only values you when they think they're losing you, do they truly value you? Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And waiting for someone to validate your worth? That's the opposite of self-mastery. Let's put it another way. Think of a lush, thriving garden. A beautiful garden doesn't beg for rain. It flourishes on its own. And what happens when people walk by? They admire it. They want to be in it. But what if that garden started wilting the moment someone stopped watering it? What if it collapsed in on itself, desperate for attention? It would lose all of its beauty. That's the difference between living for someone's approval and living for yourself. At this point, you might ask, but what if moving forward means losing them forever? Now let's get real. If you moving forward means they disappear, then they were never meant to stay, because real connections don't require you to pause your life. They don't ask you to shrink yourself to keep someone interested. And let me tell you something. When you finally stop waiting, when you start thriving, they notice. They start wondering, why do they seem happier? Why aren't they chasing me? Who are they becoming without me? And that's when the shift happens, not because you played a game, but because you stepped into your power. And the funny thing? The people who once overlooked you start to fear losing you. But by the time they realize it, you're already gone. And that's the moment you win, not because you got them back, but because you never needed them in the first place. Life is too short to wait for someone to recognize your worth. Stand tall, move forward. Let your actions speak louder than their absence ever could. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Don't waste yours. Keep moving, keep growing, and let the world chase after you. Now, if you're ready to stop waiting and start living, comment below, "I move forward." Write it, say it, own it. Let this be your declaration to yourself and to the world that you will no longer pause your life for people who won't run with you. Number 5, protect your time like treasure. Stop wasting it on the wrong people. Gold is never found in the hands of those who throw it away. Time, it's the one thing you can never get back, the one resource more valuable than money, yet so often wasted on the wrong people. How many hours, days, even years have you seen people pour into chasing someone who doesn't care, trying to prove their worth to someone who barely notices? And let me ask you, if time was literal gold, would you just hand it over to someone who didn't even want it? But before we go deeper, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me until the end, because today we're making sure you never waste another second on someone who isn't worth it. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Imagine holding a chest full of gold coins, each coin representing a day of your life. Would you throw handfuls of it into the wind for someone who barely even notices its worth? Of course not. And yet, every time you overextend yourself for someone who doesn't reciprocate, doesn't appreciate, and doesn't respect your effort, that's exactly what you're doing. But here's where most people go wrong. They think, if I care about someone, I should give them my time no matter what. Wrong. Caring about someone doesn't mean you should let them drain you. It doesn't mean you should keep giving when all they do is take. Because when you don't value your own time, no one else will either. Think about it. Who gets more respect? The person who guards their time, who chooses wisely where to invest their energy, and who only surrounds themselves with people who genuinely value them, or the person who is always available, always giving, even to those who don't deserve it. People are drawn to those who respect themselves. They are drawn to those who know their worth and don't waste time proving it. Now, some of you might be thinking, but isn't it selfish to step back? No, there's a difference between being selfish and having self-respect. Stoicism isn't about being cold or detached. It's about being intentional. It's about giving your time to those who earn it, not those who expect it. Think of a well. If people keep drawing water from it without ever replenishing it, what happens? It dries up. But if the well is respected, if the water is managed wisely, it continues to flow, to nourish, to be a source of strength. You are that well, and if you keep giving without return, if you keep pouring your energy into people who don't pour anything back, you will run dry. But the moment you pull back, shift your focus, and start investing in yourself, everything changes. Suddenly, the people who once ignored you start to notice your absence. They begin to wonder, why aren't they chasing anymore? What changed? But here's the thing. By the time they realize it, you're already moving forward. This isn't about playing games. It's not about creating jealousy. It's about reclaiming your time and energy for what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. And when you finally stop wasting your time on people who don't deserve it, you create a shift. You stop begging to be seen. You stop trying to prove your worth. You start living for yourself. At this point, you might ask, but what if I walk away and they never come back? Wrong question. The real question is, what if I stay, wasting my time on someone who doesn't value me? Because the truth is, when you finally step back, when you prioritize yourself, your goals, your growth, you don't just attract respect, you attract the right people. And those who fail to see your worth, they're just making space for the ones who will. So right now, comment below, "I protect my time." Write it, say it, own it. Because from this moment forward, you guard your gold. You value your time. You make sure the people in your life earn the privilege of being there. Number 6, flip the script. Let them chase you. A king never runs after his subjects. He builds his empire, and they come to him. Have you ever felt like you're the one always reaching out, always initiating, always trying to prove your worth to someone who barely lifts a finger? That stops today, because the moment you realize that you are the prize, everything changes. The moment you stop chasing and start attracting, the entire dynamic flips. And before we go deeper, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me until the end, because what you're about to learn will shift the way you move in every relationship in life. The balance of power is everything. The person who chases is the person who feels they have the most to lose. But what if you could turn the tables? What if instead of feeling desperate for someone's approval, you became the one they couldn't stop thinking about? This isn't about playing games. It's about self-respect. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Man is disturbed not by things, but by the views he takes of them." Most people struggle with relationships not because of what happens, but because of how they react. They tie their self-worth to someone else's attention, and when that attention fades, they panic. But here's the truth: the person who values themselves the most always wins. Imagine a lighthouse standing tall on a rocky cliff. Ships navigate toward it, drawn by its steady glow. Does the lighthouse run after the ships? No, it simply shines. That's who you need to become. When you stop proving, stop begging, stop trying to make them see your worth, you become the thing they can't ignore. The secret to turning the tables is creating space, not manipulation, not silence to punish them, just self-respect. Picture a pendulum. If you push it forward, it resists and swings back harder. But if you let it go, it moves toward you naturally. The moment you stop overgiving, over-explaining, and overvaluing, you create a void. And that void, that's what makes them realize what they had. Now you might be wondering, but what if they don't come back? Then let me ask you this: why would you want someone who only values you when they think they've lost you? If someone doesn't recognize your worth until you're gone, that's not love. That's loss aversion. Think of a rare painting in a museum. People admire it because it's one of a kind. But if that same painting were mass-produced and given out for free, it would lose its value. Your time, your energy, your attention, these are your rarest assets. If you hand them out to just anyone, they stop being valuable. Epictetus once said, "No one is free who is not master of themselves." And let's be real, chasing someone is not freedom. Being obsessed with someone else's validation is not power. Power is being able to walk away, knowing that if they don't see your worth, someone else will. And here's where everything shifts. The moment you stop chasing is the moment they start noticing. They start wondering, why aren't they texting first anymore? Why aren't they so eager? Did they meet someone else? And that's when they start chasing, because now the power is in your hands. Not because you played a game, but because you finally realized you never had to play one in the first place. So here's what I want you to do right now. Comment below, "I am the prize." Write it, say it, own it. Because from this moment forward, you are no longer the one who begs for attention. You are the one who attracts it effortlessly. Number 7, stop running, start thriving. The power of walking away. A lion never begs for attention. It walks away, and the world watches. How many times have you found yourself chasing after someone who doesn't see your worth, sending that extra text, waiting for their reply, adjusting your life around them, hoping, wishing, praying they'll finally notice what's right in front of them? But here's the truth. Real power isn't in chasing. Real power is in walking away. And before we go deeper, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay until the end, because what you're about to learn will change how you move in relationships forever. Most people stay stuck in situations that drain them. They keep running, keep proving, keep giving until they have nothing left. But what if the moment you stopped running was the moment everything changed? Because the truth is, the more you chase, the less valuable you seem. The harder you try, the more they take you for granted. And the moment you finally walk away, that's when they feel your absence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When you walk away, you are making a statement. I am no longer giving my energy to something that does not value me. And that is where your power begins. Imagine a king. Does a king beg his people to stay? Does he lower his value for their approval? No. He rules his kingdom with confidence, knowing that those who respect him will stay. That's the energy you need to carry. The moment you walk away, you shift the dynamic. Now, some of you might be thinking, but if I walk away, won't I lose them? Wrong question. The real question is, if I stay, what am I losing? My dignity, my self-respect, my time. Because every moment spent waiting for someone to value you is a moment wasted. Walking away isn't about giving up. It's about choosing yourself over a situation that no longer serves you. Think of a flame. If you smother it, it dies. But if you step back and give it air, it burns brighter. That's what happens when you remove your presence. They begin to wonder, why aren't they chasing anymore? Did I take them for granted? Did I just lose something valuable? And suddenly, the power they once held over you is gone. Not because you played a game, but because you finally realized your worth. Epictetus once said, "No one is free who is not master of themselves." And being a master of yourself means knowing when to walk away. When you stop trying to prove your worth to someone who refuses to see it, you become untouchable. You stop reacting, you stop waiting, you stop explaining. And the moment you do, the world shifts. They start to wonder where you went. They start to feel the void. And even if they don't, it doesn't matter, because by then you're already too busy thriving. Right now, comment below, "I choose myself." Write it, say it, own it. Because from this moment forward, you stop running after people who don't deserve you. Number 8, rise above. The art of elevating your value. A diamond never begs to be noticed. Its brilliance speaks for itself. Have you ever noticed how the people who don't chase, the ones who don't beg for attention, seem to be the ones everyone wants? It's not luck. It's not a game. It's value. And value isn't something you convince people of. It's something you embody. The moment you stop trying to prove your worth is the moment people start recognizing it. Before we go deeper, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay until the end, because what you're about to learn will change the way you carry yourself forever. Most people live their lives seeking approval. They try to be liked, to be accepted, to be chosen. But the truth is, The more you seek validation, the more you lower your value. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." What does this mean? It means that if someone doesn't see your worth, it's not your job to convince them. Their blindness is not your problem. You don't rise by proving, you rise by becoming. Think of a luxury car sitting in a showroom. Does it chase customers? No, it stands still, polished, rare, admired. The people who recognize its worth step forward, not the other way around. That's how you must carry yourself. Elevating your value isn't about pretending to be something you're not. It's about refining yourself, working on your craft, your goals, your mindset, your confidence, until your presence alone demands respect. Some of you might be thinking, "But if I don't prove my value, won't they forget me?" Wrong question. The real question is, why should I care about being remembered by someone who never valued me in the first place? Tree does not beg the sun to shine on it. It simply grows. And in doing so, it reaches new heights. The higher you rise, the fewer people can reach you. And that's a good thing, because those who do, they are the ones who truly see your worth. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." So decide right now, are you going to keep chasing, keep proving, keep lowering yourself just to be noticed, or are you going to rise? Right now, comment below, "I elevate my value." Write it, say it, own it. Because from this moment forward, you don't chase, you attract. And there you have it. The power of walking away, rising above, and stepping into your true value. The moment you stop chasing is the moment they start noticing. But by then, you won't even care, because this journey is about you, your growth, your power, your unstoppable confidence. So if this resonated with you, drop a comment below. I choose my anger. And before you go, smash that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. See you in the next video.